Okay, so last year I had the pleasure of watching Jodorowsky's Dune, and I might be completely mispronouncing his name, and if so, I am very sorry. But it is a documentary detailing the making, or I guess the development of an unmade Dune adaptation as envisioned by a madman. And I mean that in the best possible way. Alejandro Jodorowsky's unbridled creativity and unmatched charisma just kept me glued to my seat the entire time I'm watching the movie. Because my buddy N7 had told me about, he's like, yeah, like I saw this adaptation. This is what, or I guess I saw this documentary. This is some of the shit they wanted to do with their Dune movie. Like, I guess to put into perspective how absolutely wild it is, Jodorowsky had apparently never read Dune, and had even said, yeah, I have literally zero intention of ever reading Dune. I know the very, very basics of kind of how Dune is supposed to work and how the story goes, and I'm just gonna do that to make my own story. I'm gonna make my own movie. I'm gonna pay Salvador Dali to be the emperor, and he is gonna make, what was it, like $100,000 per minute that he's on screen, because Dali would only do the movie if he was the highest paid actor of all time. So instead of saying like, well, he's only going to be in for a few movies, or a few minutes, let's pay him millions of dollars. What if we pay him by the minute and only put him in a few minutes? And his reaction was, I get to be the $100,000 a minute man. I'm it's like, and that's how Salvatore Dali joined the party. It's so cool. Like, I highly recommend watching this documentary. It is I haven't done my tier list for 2024 yet. It is genuinely one of my favorite films I saw in 2024. And if you follow my channel, there's a lot of movies I saw in 2024. I'm like, this is an all-timer, this is an all-timer, this is an all-timer. Just what? Banger after banger after banger. My point is, I curse and I rue whatever made this adaptation of Dune not exist. And I do not want in any way to make that like a kind of slight against the movies that we've gotten, because I absolutely loved them. But this would have been incredible, and I wish I could have seen it. But alas, there's kind of some hope. Is one of the last things that they discuss in Jodorowsky's Dune is how my understanding is that several of the ideas from that adaptation ended up getting recycled into another project. Jodorowsky doing writing the story, and Mobius, who did the storyboard, I believe he did the storyboards for the adaptation, or excuse me, like for the unmade movie. He might have done some other stuff with it too, but I believe for sure the storyboards did the art of it. And that is a graphic novel called The Inchal. And as soon as I finished, there was a point where I told N7, the guy I'm watching the Dune thing, he's like, okay, what's your interest in The Inchal? And at that point, I was like, I don't know what the fuck The Inchal is. And I get to that point near the end of the movie, and I immediately text him, like, I'm so excited, I've got to read this. He has a copy. And I went a while before I actually got around to reading it. But I finally started it on New Year's Eve, finished it a couple days into 2025. This, unless I'm somehow lucky enough and blessed enough to actually see Jodorowsky storyboards, this is the closest I will ever truly get to to seeing the unmade Dune movie in my lifetime. And I'm gonna be honest, I had a really good time. Like, I really liked The Inchal. So I guess I'll just go and say from this one, like, full spoilers for like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full spoilers are live. I'm gonna talk about like some set pieces and shit, but I'll say this. Me personally, The Inchal was not a story that I went in going, this is gonna, like, I'm so excited for the plot, I'm so excited for the characters. It was, I'm here for the experience. this dude is making original recipe work inspired, but just by his own creative mind, and also by the unmade Dune movie. I just want to experience this shit. And what I got out of the Inchal was more or less what I signed up for. It's a story where I'm going to talk about it here in a bit, but I feel like when I actually think about what happened in terms of like the plot developments and like the characters and their arcs and how shit just kind of happens, it's fine. Like, I liked it. I had a good time following it, but it is just the creativity, the artwork, and weirdly enough, kind of the simplicity of the whole thing made me really enjoy it. So, our basic story follows a man named John DeFool, which just 10 out of 10 name. Like, I absolutely loved it. He is a detective who finds the Inchal, which is the best way I understand it and can explain it is the light and essence of God manifested on, I can't say on Earth because they're somewhere in space, I don't remember where, but manifested in the physical realm, the physical plane, but not necessarily in like the form of the baby Jesus. He escapes a race of alien invaders, the president in a new bodysuit. It makes enough sense in context, and it's really fun. And he goes on this journey across the galaxy. He and his various companions communicate with the Inchal directly. They ascend to higher levels of existence. At one point, John mates with an alien queen and creates like millions and billions of spawn, which are just more of him and look exactly like him and act exactly like him. So it's just a gold planet full of assholes. It's genuinely one of my favorite parts of the game. And eventually, the world is saved. The entire galaxy is able to conquer the forces of darkness through propaganda and like shoving a message down people's throats until they get it. Again, works in context. And like I said, it's kind of more or less exactly what I was hoping it was going to be. I thought the humor at times could be very cheeky, especially in the points where you're in that starting planet and they're like broadcasting the revolution, but the people watching are like, oh man, this show kind of sucks. Can we change the channel? No, it's on every channel and shit like that. I found really funny and really interesting at the same time. I think the art is really good and the set pieces are really creative and really strange in a way that I really enjoyed. I have a short list of some of the set pieces I really liked. At one point, there's an acid river that has this giant, I almost said waterfall, this giant whirlpool, thank you. And as they're like going into the whirlpool and shit, I'm like, I'm kind of getting Odyssey vibes from this. Because I remember that was like one of the things in the Odyssey was that giant whirlpool. Like, how much of the story is a reference? Because it's been a while since I've read the Odyssey. I don't know how much of this story is kind of a reference to it, or if this was even an intentional reference, and I just kind of thought it was, but I like the Odyssey vibes I was getting from it. The whole nuptial games in the Berg Galaxy, and then John going back later and be like, oh yeah, it's an entire planet of me. Wow, this place is fucking miserable. I thought, like, the nuptial games were just, like, fun and funny. This was just fucking funny. I really enjoyed it. Some of the visuals, I guess it's kind of less set pieces, but like the bits of the shadow egg just devouring a sun when you actually see the two pyramids. From what I understand, the initial inspiration for the Inchal was a dream Jodorowsky had of the two pyramids. And like of the boy, I don't remember his name, but like as he's ascending into these higher planes of existence, that I took a lot of pictures while reading the Inchal. I was like, that's a really cool picture. Oh, that's a really cool frame. Basically, the last like 10 to 15 pages when they're, praying to the Inchal and they have to all like face their fears and like I don't remember a lot of names. So like the wolf turns into a fucking wolf and starts like eating the bird, who devolves into like a chicken and shit. And like I don't remember his name. It starts with an M. Like it's Meta Baron. I was like, I know I can get this one. Like the Meta Baron's got like these fucking tentacles coming out of his head and shit. Like it's so cool. Like fuck, I loved looking at this, man. And yeah, like that's the next thing I have. It's just the entire climax. I think it looks great. It's absolutely incredible. And the very end, I guess technically the very end is of John like time looping, but it's when he sees God and just the visual depiction of God as like this great golden being. I just thought it looked incredible. Again, I was taking a lot of pictures when I got to the end. It's like, this is just so neat. I think there's supposed to be kind of an underlying motif of the Fool's journey with John being the Fool. Again, it's literally in his name, and by the end, you know, becoming the world and all that kind of shit. I personally wasn't reading it and really trying to go like, okay, what arcana is this? What arcana is this? But I wouldn't be surprised if there are those, if I could like find an essay or like a video on that. Off the top of my head, I don't know. It was like the Meta Baron's strength because he's like a super badass dude. Who would probably be the Hermit? I don't know. I'm just kind of blanking right now. Like, I feel like it's one of those things. If I really wanted to, I could either find something like that, or I could just kind of sit and do my own analysis for it. But I don't think I really want to. I just kind of thought I'd bring it up because I can kind of sort of see it. The thing I do want to talk about, and what do you know, we're on, this is actually a short video. I'm just as surprised as you are that I can make these. The biggest surprise to me is kind of something I was saying earlier, is despite all the weirdness, it's how simple everything is. To me, The Inchal is a story about three things. It's about light conquering darkness. It is about true love. And it's about faith. And it's about how John is the prototypical fundamental human being. He is capable of so much. But he just kind of wants to fart around. He just wants to have, what do they call them? Homeo whores? Or like hollow hookers? It was something like that. He's like, I just want to have sex, smoke cigarettes, and not give a shit. I just kind of want to know like how I can benefit from situations. But he is capable of so much. And when he does put his faith in this higher power, in this light, incredible things can happen. I wasn't expecting 2024 to end and 2025 to start with a story just about the beautiful simplicity of faith in a higher power and how it can really elevate you to be something greater than yourself. And I've talked about it in several videos, how I have faith in God. I have my own relationship with God. And I feel like, especially at the end of 2024, it kind of got a lot better. I, in a lot of ways, got a lot better. And reading this story just kind of made me appreciate my own journey, and especially like my 2024. And I really just wasn't expecting that. So yeah, it's like I said, as much as I was like, dude, I just want to see some weird shit. And I got my weird shit. It's like, I had a good time. It hit me a bit more personally than I was expecting, in a way I really, really appreciated. That's really it. I really don't have much else to say. I guess the only other thing is I understand there's an adaptation in the work. I believe it is supposed to be animated. I don't know when I got the computer. Let's check. let's ask the internet what the Incal adaptation is. It supposed to be coming out this year, anytime soon? Go, 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 go. Looks like it was maybe announced in 2021. I don't know if it was supposed to come out in 2021. Maybe it's out. I just didn't know. Let's see. Okay, adaptations. In 2021, it was just announced that it's going to happen. So in 2021 it was announced. I don't know when it's coming out. I will be there. I feel like it's something I'm like, okay, no, I've got to see it. And like I was saying earlier, unless I'm somehow blessed enough to ever see those storyboards, Jodorowsky, please. Watching the Incal will probably be the closest I get in my lifetime to just watching Jodorowsky's Dune. So I had a great time with it. If you have a chance to read the Incal, I highly recommend it. If you have a chance to watch Jodorowsky's Dune, I highly recommend that. I still haven't seen his other films. I'm really excited to watch The Holy Mountain. I don't know when I will do it. I wanted to do it for like a couple months last year, just never got around to it, but it's on the list. I have a literal actual list of just a whole bunch of different pieces of art and media I want to, experience this year. Holy Mountain is on there. On my list of movies, like in the high interest, it's there. I really hope I get around to it. But yeah, Incal's great. Go read it.